I'm in Pennsylvania. So
Okay.
I just got done grabbing firewood and starting a fire down here. So it's a little chilly from what I hear down in Florida right now, but it's not too warm up here right now either.
Nah, I mean, I'm not gonna complain, bro. It's like 65 out right now. It's perfect, you know. So I know you in Pennsylvania, you don't want to hear that kind of talk, but I'll take it, man. It's always like, I mean, it always feels like 100 degrees down here. So to
Hmm.
get a little break and get it down into the 60s, it's a pleasure, man. So give me
You
any excuse to wear a hoodie, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was gonna say, hey, you busted out the hoodie. Are you born and raised in Florida?
No, no, originally from Brooklyn, New York, and I was there for the first 17 years of my life, and then I moved to Florida after that.
Okay, gotcha. So,
Yeah, man.
you popped up on my radar with MMA Uncensored, but what's your journey into this podcasting world? Because you seem super comfortable. I get the impression you've got a little bit more experience than I probably realized, but you're connected to a lot of really fascinating people, from fighters to porn stars. Like, what's your journey, and how did this whole network of individuals culminate into what it is today?
It's a good question, man. It's actually a funny story. About 2 years ago, a friend approached me, and I was at his daughter's birthday party, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna start a podcast, and I want you to be a co-host with me on the podcast." And I told him, I said, "Well, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know anything about podcasting. You know, I know Joe Rogan. That's about it. That's all I know." And he's like, "Well, he's like, I think you'd be, great at it and everything like that." And I said, "Nah." I said, I don't think that's for me, you know." And he was pressing me like throughout the his kid's birthday party. He kept coming up to me. He's like, "Come on, I got the equipment, I got the software. All you got to do is show up, and that's it." And he said, "Look, if you don't like it, after the first one," he said, "then I won't bother you anymore." So I said, "All right, that's fair." So he came over my house. We set up just a laptop, a microphone. He had his software running. It was no video, it was just audio. And we were just shooting the shit. It was guy talk. And the funny thing about it was a couple of weeks later, we started getting some traction. We got featured on iTunes and or Apple Podcast, and we started getting a decent following from it. Started a Instagram page, Facebook, all that good stuff, and I was telling him, I'm like, we got good traction with this thing. We did a few episodes. I was real comfortable with it. I said, we gotta like build an organic growth. We gotta get a following. We gotta maybe get some guests on, that are interesting people, business owners, and he was indifferent about it. He didn't really want to go that route. He just wanted to keep it like a guy talk show, and I just saw something different. I just had a different vision about it, and I said, well, look, we'll have a guest on the show, and then you tell me how you like it. And then if you don't like it, I won't bother you about it anymore. So he really couldn't say no to that. So we ended up having some people, mutual friends that were business owners. We'd have them on. We talked about their business and, current events and stuff like that. And little by little, we started getting different kind of people on the podcast, influencers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I was at a crossroad, after a little while going through the podcast with them. We did it maybe close to a year at that point. Uh, he was starting to fall off, and the relationship ended. But I decided to continue to go with the podcast. And the funny story about it was was watching a bare knuckle event one night, and I grew up a boxing fan. My dad got me into boxing when I was a little kid. I've always been a combat sport fan. I took taekwondo, I took karate, I trained for boxing. Nothing on a professional level, but just really for fun and learning self defense. But I saw this bare knuckle, and I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. Like bare knuckles, like old school stuff. So I was hooked. Right away as a boxing fan, and I'm like, damn, I gotta get some of these fighters on my podcast. I'm pretty interested in this. So shout out to Abby Velasquez. He was my first bare knuckle fighter that I had on, and we had a great conversation. He just came off a win, and little by little from there, like I just started, getting one fighter after another, and I really got like hooked on this sport. And then I had Dave Feldman on, who's the president of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, and he invited me out, to a show, and I got to experience that, and it just kind of transpired from there, man. I've been doing this for only 2 years, but it's been a lot of fun for me, man.
Yeah, no, he seems like a really interesting guy. I didn't know, like when I heard about Bare Knuckle, he wasn't the guy that I was expecting to kind of be at the helm of it. And I think it's really fortunate for them because a lot of people want to write it off as just like this kind of circus act. And I had my doubts on whether or not it would last. I'm a fan of it just because I like combat sports, but as somebody like thinking about it from like a wider perspective, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be able to sustain long-term growth. And it seemed like they were willing to throw money at some people, but it's like how long can this go on before it just doesn't go on anymore? And he seems like I don't know what his background is, but he seems like a super smart business guy. And I like the way that whole organization is going. It's fun to watch, man. A lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. Dave's a good guy. He's former professional boxer. His dad is a famed professional boxer and trainer. He trained world champions in boxing. David's brother Damon, who's the owner of Celebrity Boxing, who I do work for as well. Former undefeated heavyweight in professional boxing. So there's a boxing background there. David's been involved in the fight game since he's a kid. So it's all he knows.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of the fighters respect him. I could only speak based on my experiences with Dave Feldman. He's a great guy, man. Like, guy is like just literally took me in like a part of the family. It was the
Mm-hmm.
coolest thing. Like, he came on my podcast. We nerded out a little bit about Bare Knuckle because I've been watching it since day one. So like, I could name fights, name fighters, whatever, and we had a good time. He invited me out to BKFC 8, which was in Tampa, and he's like, "Yeah, just come out. I'll give you, VIP access, backstage, whatever, interview the fighters, see the show,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a blessing, man. I mean, I absolutely love it. I really do. And just to be there, I met Stitch Durand for the first time. He was on my podcast already, but to finally meet that guy in person, he's a legend, and
Yep.
well respected in the fight game for many years. Was really cool, and then to meet, all the fighters, everybody that I've had on my podcast, fighters I didn't. I got to see the main event that night was Gabriel Gonzaga and Bigfoot Silva, and that was a wild main event, a lot of fun. It was
Yep.
hyped up, and it was just a cool experience. But Dave's a great guy, man. Every time I go to these events, Dave's always there, gives me the time. We talk, we do an interview, and I can't say nothing bad about the guy. He's great. And the organization, man, I mean, itself, I mean, and a lot of people give Bare Knuckle, it's still 50-50. It's a new promotion. People kind of, watching it really closely, what's going on with this thing, but it's blowing up, man. All the fighters that get in there, I mean, these are real deal fighters. It's not like some bum that they grab that's a drunk at the side of a bar. Hey,
That's
you want to get in and
that's
Bare
been the
Knuckle?
key. You know what I mean? There's some
Yeah.
names in there, and these guys can fight.
Yeah, it's real guys. I mean, Luis Palomino, he's the 155 world champ right now. He's fought guys like Justin Gage, Jorge Masvidal. He's a four-time world champion in MMA. The guy's experienced. He came from backyard bare knuckle fights.
Mm-hmm.
He's a street guy from Miami. This guy knows how to fight. And that's why he's the champ right now. The whole card. I mean, all these guys that are coming up: Bellator fighters, UFC fighters. You know, they're boxers. They're getting a whole broad structure of fighters that are coming over from different promotions.
Yeah.
So
So Frank Mir.
yeah, Frank Mir recently signed
Yep.
heavyweight. So that should be interesting to see who's
Yeah.
gonna go up against him. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that.
What's your thoughts on just like the state of combat sports in general? I mean, obviously, that's kind of a dumb question if you like it's soaring, right? But like
Yeah, it's killing.
every way, shape, and form you look, you've got. I mean, now Logan Paul calling out McGregor or Logan. Wait, no, Logan's fighting Mayweather.
Mayweather.
Jake
Hmm.
Paul's calling out McGregor. I mean,
Right.
it's fun in the moment, and I think I'm like, does it seem cool because we're in 2020 and shit's just fucking crazy? And are we going to kind of look at things when everything calms down and be like, wait a second, this guy's about ready to get in the ring with McGregor? Like this isn't cool. Like I almost wonder how much the perspective of the world right now is impacting some of this shit.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I think combat sports right now, especially with everything going on in 2020, is the number one sport on the planet. I
Mhm.
mean, they've proven to be successful. We use Dana White as an example. He's the guy that pretty much didn't miss a beat. Pandemic, no problem. He powered through it, put events together. Fight Island. I mean, the guy's done an amazing job of putting together shows, getting fighters fights. I mean, UFC Fight Pass, Vegas, the Contender Series, it all continued. So
Yeah.
I think combat sports right now is thriving. Boxing's kind of on they're still lagging behind with UFC. Um, they've had a couple of good fights, but the stuff with the exhibition fights, like, Tyson and Jones, for example, I thought that was cool. As far as, seeing Tyson get back in the ring brings me back to my childhood, growing up, a huge Mike Tyson fan.
Yeah.
Obviously, always love Roy Jones as well. Um, but they took a lot of the punch out of and no pun intended, but they took a lot of the punch out of the event with all these rules,
Yep.
8 rounds, 2 minutes, nobody's allowed to get knocked out. There's not going to be a decision. I don't know. To me, it just sounded like a glorified sparring match to me. And then, they ended up making a decision anyway, which was, I mean, if you're going to make a decision, make it right. I mean, to call that fight a draw, all
Yeah.
due respect to Roy Jones, one of the best fighters ever, but all he did was clinch that whole fight.
I was
That's
su-
all it was.
I was a little surprised, quite honestly, given the whole rule set. I thought it more favored him.
Yeah.
I thought Roy was going to be the better boxer, and I was very mistaken.
Yeah. Look, I think Tyson just was in better shape. That's the way it looked to me.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I'm not going to say nothing bad about Roy. He kicked my ass in 2 seconds. But if we're talking about two fighters on a they're older, but still still a high level compared to a lot of guys their age. It was it was more in Tyson's favor, that fight. He was more active, definitely landed more shots. He really wasn't initiating the clinches. Seemed like he was in better shape. And then Vinny Paz. I love Vinny Paz, man. Like, been a big Vinny Paz fan since I'm a kid, especially everything he's been through. He's got probably one of the best stories in boxing ever. And I don't know what fight he was watching that night, but his scorecard was terrible. Like, I could have put a 3-year-old in there and they would have did a better job scoring that fight. It was terrible. So, you got that. You got the Mayweather and Logan Paul thing coming up. A
I
lot
mean,
of
it
people are
makes
pissed.
money. It makes money.
Yeah, it makes money, of course. I mean, a lot of people, bro, they like it's 50-50. The YouTube fans, the IG fans, all Logan Paul's fans are happy as hell, right?
Mhm.
But the boxing fans, the fighters, not so much, because I could look at it from both sides. Can't hate on Logan Paul because the kid got himself to a very high level. He got himself a high following. He's making a shit ton of money, and he's in a situation in his life where he's presented with opportunities where he can make more money.
Mhm.
If the guy is training and he enjoys boxing and he's
All the
pursuing
power
it,
to him.
and he's got an opportunity to go against Floyd Mayweather. All right, granted, it's not going to be a legit fight. I don't care what anybody says. Like, there's no legitimacy to that fight. Like,
Mhm.
not taking anything away from the skill that Logan Paul has, obviously the skill that Floyd Mayweather has, but as far as legitimacy is concerned, two different weight classes. Mayweather is like, the elite, Logan Paul is still starting out. There's no comparison. It's obvious that it's about money.
Mhm.
So, again, not going to hate on Logan Paul. He's got an opportunity to make money. This is that opportunity. He's taking advantage of it. So, can't hate him there. As far as the boxing fans are concerned, fight fans are concerned, sucks because, you know, there's a pay per view that you got to spend money on to watch this. As a fight fan, as a good fight fan, some really good fight fans, they don't want to see this. It's a circus sideshow. Um, I personally, I'm not going to pay to watch it. I'll stream it somewhere, but I'm not going to pay to watch it. I just don't think it's going to be good. Period.
Do you,
So
this, I've thought this as a random thought, but do you think there's a world where the UFC has a boxing promotion and does does with boxing what they've done with mixed martial arts?
so you're saying UFC has a? Can you
Kind
rephrase
of,
that?
so think about how Glory, right? Glory has
Mhm.
kickboxing, they
Right.
have different types of striking events, where the
Yes.
UFC would be promoting boxing events the same way that they're doing with mixed martial arts,
Mm.
where there's actually where you're fighting for the UFC promotion. Because I know there's a lot of money in boxing, but for a select few. I mean, I think that gets, I guess maybe I'm ignorant to how boxers get paid, but I always feel like there's this mindset where everybody who's boxing is making a ton of money. I knew a guy
Yeah.
who is a Mayweather fighter, and he wasn't making dick. And he was, he was a pro boxer fighting on undercards of Mayweather, and he wasn't making any kind of money. So
Mm.
just a thought.
Yeah. Well, there's a totally different pay structure with UFC and
Mhm.
boxing. There's the Muhammad Ali Act for boxers, right? So they're protected.
Okay,
It's
that's right.
basically kind of like the Players Association, Major League Baseball, for example.
Yep.
They're protected, so they're going to get paid a lot more than UFC fighters because UFC fighters don't have a fighters union, so to speak. There are fighters that a lot of fighters complain about the pay. The UFC is drawing in so much money, yet the fighters aren't making nearly as much as boxers are making. It's
Yeah,
very
what do they say?
true.
It's like 16 to 18% right now.
Yeah, it's very low. And I think that, to me, I think that fighters should be paid the most money out of any sport. Now, obviously, from a business aspect, that's impossible. If we
Mhm.
compare like baseball players' salaries, it's just the structures are different, the contracts, the games played, the fans buying the merchandise tickets. There's so much that goes into it. So we're not going to see fighters get paid, you know, that kind of money unless you're a boxer and you're Floyd Mayweather. But there's definitely got to be like a more even scale for UFC fighters to make
Yeah.
more money.
Yeah, so I guess my perspective on it is more in the realm of, right, as somebody who likes watching boxing, it's difficult to be a boxing fan. Like it's a hard sport to follow. It's I feel like boxing could grow a lot if they could figure out a way to have a dominant, a group that's promoting them where it's not as fragmented as it is, because I think if you're a pure boxing fan and you follow that sport, it's very easy to do that. It's really enjoyable. But if we're being like, from my perspective, it's like I talk to people all the time who are into MMA or other types of mixed, just different type of combat sports, period, and they're just not into boxing. It's just too difficult for them to follow. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's for like the casual fan. As a diehard fan, it's easy, like you
Yeah.
said. The casual fans are gonna appreciate a Mayweather and a Logan Paul fight. The casual fans, they just want to see knockouts, and I think that's where Bare Knuckle thrives because they could get those fans to cross over to them because of the fast-paced action, the fast knockouts. Their knockout rate is like 90%. I mean, people
Mhm.
get knocked out, and that's what people want to see, especially a casual fan. Boxing fans, it's a little different. But I think that maybe boxing could find more success as far as bringing more fans in and stuff like that. I mean, they have a lot of fans anyway, but I think that if they want to draw in more fans, to have actual professional boxing matches on the same card as Mayweather and Logan Paul would be a good idea. So, you know, people could,
Give that
new fans,
visibility.
yeah, new fans could kind of see what professional boxing is all about if they haven't really watched it before.
Yep.
I think that Tyson and Jones, that was a mixture. That was a mixture. We didn't really have much
Nate
professional
Robinson.
boxing. There was a couple of fights on there, but I didn't watch him, so I couldn't even make an opinion on it. But yeah, I it's tough right now. I think UFC is just it has such momentum right now.
Hmm.
It's really hard to compete with. But I would like to see eventually in the future. I would like to see a fighters union get these guys and girls paid more money because, like, there's a reason I highlight fighters a lot on my podcasts and interviews and stuff like that. Is because, in my opinion, there's no athlete in the world that trains harder than a fighter. Period. Like
Puts their
it's
life on the line.
the sacrifice, the time away from your family, weight cut, training, discipline. There's so much involved. And I just think they deserve to be highlighted all the time for their hard work.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. No, makes sense, man. It's I've been lucky enough to meet a handful, some
Yeah.
always blows my mind especially too just how humble and um chilled, laid back, the complete opposite is of what many people think that someone like that would be like. To be inside of a cage fighting other guys, but or girls.
Yeah, man. Well, when you're in a dojo, or you're in a gym, and you're training, and you're getting your ass kicked all day preparing to fight, you are humble. Most fighters are humble because in order for you to be good, you got to get your ass whooped. It's just the nature of the beast. Nobody's going in their own gym undefeated and then winning all their fights. You're getting your ass whooped. It's
Hmm.
just so that humbles you. So yeah, but I know we have a mutual friend. You're buddies with Anthony Rumble.
Yeah, yeah. Rumble's a good buddy of mine, business partner. He's and one of the funniest dudes that I've ever. Now that I'm getting to know him a little bit more and I see that side of him, he's a funny dude. He's got
Yeah.
quite the sense of humor. So you've known him for a little bit, right?
A funny story how I met Rumble. When I was doing MMA Uncensored podcast, Anthony was next guest on the show. So I always do a test call just to make sure, whatever location they're at, their internet connection is good if we're doing it remotely. So we'll do like a 5 minute test call, and then, we'll do the show the next day, a couple days later. So I did the test call with Rumble, and we're talking, and I said, "Nice to meet you." This, that, the other thing. So where you from? And I said, "Oh, I live in Florida." He said, "I live in Florida too." He said, "Where in Florida do you live?" I said, "I live in," I told him where I lived, and he goes, I live in the same city." And I said, "Oh, that's cool." He said, "Where about?" And I told him where about, and then like his face like froze, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like through the screen. And I'm like, "Are we neighbors?" And he's, "Yeah, bro. Like I live 1 block from you." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yo, why don't I just come by to your house and we'll do the podcast there together?" I said, "All
That's
right, deal."
awesome.
And then after that, we became cool. Like, Anthony will come over. We'll have the fight night on. Anthony comes over. Jules comes over. I got some friends. We hang out. The last one we went to, Anthony called me up and we went to Duffy's and watched the fight. So Anthony's a cool guy, man. He's just a chill dude. You know, it was a
Very.
funny story. We're at this place called Hurricanes. It's a bar, nearby. And this was, I want to say, this was pre-COVID. So outdoor spot. We're at the bar. It's like happy hour. He had a drink. Anthony likes his fruity drinks. He likes margaritas and shit. So he got his drink, and I don't know the fuck I was drinking, probably some bourbon or some shit. And we're just chilling at the bar, having something to drink. And people recognize him, especially fight fans. Guy's a legend.
Yep.
And I see somebody's head popping up. They're peeking, right? So dude's talking to his friends, and I'm always watching out. And I see the guy, he walks up and he goes to Anthony and he's like, "Hey, aren't you that UFC fighter, Anthony Johnson?" He said, "Weren't you in that movie Warrior and all this shit?" And Anthony's just like, "Nah, man." He said, "I get that all the time. That's not me." And the guy was like, "Oh, okay." And he walked away. So I'm just laughing, bro. I'm like, "You were so nonchalant about that."
Yep.
He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Not now." He's like, I said, "Nah, I get it." So, but the dude wouldn't give up. So he waited till after, like we were walking. It was at the end of the day, end of the night. We were done, tabbed out. So we're walking back to the parking lot. So Anthony goes his way. I start going my way. And this dude popped up out of nowhere, bro. And he's like, "Hey, I gotta ask you a question." And I was like, "Yes, it was Anthony Rumble." He's like, I fucking knew it, man. He's like, why didn't he? And I was like, some days, you know, probably just like that for him. And he's like, yeah, I get it. I get it. He must get stopped all the time. He's like, oh man. He's like, you think you could get me an autograph from him and everything? I was like, no. I was like, I can't. I was like, yeah. I was like, if I got to get an autograph for you, I got to get an autograph for everybody.
Hmm.
But it was just like it was a funny story. But yeah, Auntie's great people, man.
Yeah, same thing happened like 5 times when we were in Austin. We were in Texas together doing some stuff for the coffee company, and he had people popping up all over the place. It was really funny to see, but he's so humble about it. He liked to mess with people a few times, but yeah, man, he's a great dude. I'm excited for his return. I'm very excited. I think
Hell yeah, man.
seeing him in the gym, he got in the gym and really got after it with a couple of um, a guy named Primal Swolger, Eric Leha, and his brother Juan. We were down at the Onna HQ, and they were putting some work in, and I was just like, man, he's still got it.
Hell yeah.
He's definitely still got it. So,
No question, man. I saw him at the last bare knuckle event. We did an interview. This was funny too. So Anthony's sitting in the front row ringside, and next to him is Kendra Lust. So for the viewers out there who don't know who Kendra Lust is, she's an adult film entertainer, and she's actually super cool too. She's a
mhm.
good friend of mine. So they're sitting, but here's the funny story. So that event, I decided to shave like completely. So nobody knows what I look like shaved because I haven't shaved in over 2 years. Like I've always kept a beard. So when I shaved, nobody recognized me. It was hilarious. So like I'm going up to people, hey, what's up? And they're looking at me like I'm nuts. They're like,
Ah,
who the fuck is this guy? I'm like, bro, it's Joe. They're like,
I initially
oh
thought
my
you did
God.
like a face app or something like that. I saw you posted a picture. I'm like, he's just messing around with some sort of face app. And then I'm like, no, fuck, he really did it. He shaved.
Yeah, I did. I did. I look fucking weird too. So I was like, all right, I gotta grow the beard back. So um long story short, I go up to Rumble. He's chatting with Kendra. So I was like, hey, Anthony. I was like, hey, Joe, what's up? So obviously he knows me because we hang out. So I was like, hey, I was like, when you get a sec, let's do an interview. He's like, yeah. He's like, where you want to do it? I was like, wherever. So he's like, all right. And then Kendra cuts in and she goes, excuse me, sir. We're having a conversation. Would you mind coming back later? So I looked at her. Now, mind you, like an hour prior, I saw her with Ashley Sabero, who's Dana Brooke from WWE,
Yep.
who I'm also friends with, and because we've done podcasts together, and her and Yuli are just fucking awesome. And so Kendra sees me, she starts talking Spanish to me. So I thought it was kind of odd, but I was so busy, I was like running around. So I was like, I'll catch up with her later. But she did that because she didn't know who the fuck I was. So when I told her when I was talking to Anthony, I was like, Kendra, it's like, you don't recognize me? She said, no. I'm like, it's Joe Miggs, it's just shaved, She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't recognize you. Holy shit, all this stuff. She's like, do your thing, do your thing. So but I was talking to Rumble. So that's when I brought up Rumble Time Coffee when I was talking to
Mhm.
Anthony. I was wanting to know more about it. I was curious because I saw him promoting it, and I saw some of his friends have been drinking it, and everybody's raving about it, man. So
Yeah,
I
we need
want
to
to get
get
some
you.
Rumble time in my
We
in
need
my
to
life.
get you. Yeah, no, we'll
Yeah,
get you some. I'll
yeah,
connect with you after this.
awesome.
It's been fun, man. It was a little project that I got myself involved with, and AJ reached out and was like, "Hey, man, what's up?" And I had connected with him before at a cannabis event out in LA, and we stayed in touch from that. And it just worked out perfectly. His personality, the way he goes about everything, it was like couldn't have been a better match with me and my partner. So bringing him on board and just trying to build it out. COVID threw a wrench and everything. This
Yeah,
year's been different, like our whole plan on how we were going about things and trying to go to market. We had to improvise a little bit and try to get creative. And it's been better than I think we could have ever expected.
mm,
But 2021, very excited for. I think we hopefully can get back to a normal life and get everybody go grab yourself some Rumble time. Use Rumble as your code. You'll get a nice discount, and maybe you'll get lucky. And if you know what, do Rumble Joe. If you listen to this, and I'll throw in a free mug and maybe some other cool shit too. So
hell yeah,
do
hell
it.
yeah. I'm gonna definitely let everybody know about that.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah, COVID sucks, bro. I fucking like I know a lot of businesses that have suffered. It's very unfortunate, and I've been grateful and thankful that I've maintained work. But I know a lot of people that haven't. It's horrible. I even did a podcast to help businesses out when the lockdown first happened. They shut everything down for the local businesses that were still open because when that shit hit the fan in the beginning, everybody thought the whole world shut down.
Yep.
But there were still small businesses that were open, but people weren't going out, so they didn't know that these businesses were open. So I did a podcast and I was trying to help them spread the word. I had like a dozen businesses on, and we just did one after the other after the other. I had hair salons
Really
on,
good idea.
rest just to help them out. Like I didn't want nothing, I just wanted
Yeah.
to help these people, and I know they were struggling, and it was good. It was a live show. People were tuning in, asking questions. It was great. It was really cool. But yeah, man, how did you guys make out during this whole thing?
Um, I mean, I've been good. I'm torn on how I feel about it. It's like I've seen people be affected by it. I think it's real. I think, you got to take precautions, but I'm I'm somebody, I look at everything, whether you die by getting hit by a car, you die by COVID, a death's a death. And there's people whose lives have been upended. There's suicide, there's
Yep.
a lot of depression, and I look at things. I'm a numbers person, and things, I don't know, something just doesn't make sense to me. And I feel for everybody, however they've been affected. But a year of this shit, man, and we're still just talking about wearing masks, and that's it. Like, that's the best that we got is
Yeah.
throw a face diaper on and get back to it. Like,
Dude.
or $1,200. I mean, that people got sent $1,200. That's the
Yeah.
fucking best America can do, is send people $1,200.
Right. It's a shit show. That's a
You
shit
know?
show. Like now, well, if I want to get people away from me, I just cough.
Yeah, right.
That's it. I just start coughing. I was at the grocery store before. I was in an aisle. It was all jammed up. I was trying to get through. I just started coughing. People were spreading.
Yeah, no, it's
Seriously.
funny. I've been the outspoken one in my family. They all get sick of it, but it's been good. Like holidays, I've been able to avoid. I'm just like, you guys don't want to hear me complain about this. It's easier for me to stay away. So,
You're in quarantine.
I'm in quarantine for
Where
sure.
in Pennsylvania are you?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay, you're in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm in
Pirates.
Pittsburgh. Yeah,
Grew up
yeah.
baseball fan?
I am. Yeah, I played a little
Okay.
ball. I played baseball in college. I played a little outside of that. Did some things. Nothing too crazy. Didn't make a whole lot of money with it, but it was fun while it lasted.
Well,
Yeah.
what do you
Right.
got there? What are you drinking? Bourbon or scotch?
It's a little Jack, a single barrel select.
Oh, hell yeah, man. That's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. I figured, I was talking with you. I'm like, he seems like he's a whiskey guy. So
Hell yeah, bro. You're spot on, man. Yeah. I like bourbon, whiskey. Actually, I just started really getting into tequila now.
really.
So yeah, that's kind of my third. Anything aged in a barrel, I like. Just
Yeah.
I don't know what it
I
is.
can't do I can't do tequila. Something, it may have been just bad past experiences.
Everybody's got bad past experiences
Yeah.
with tequila.
Yeah, I've had a
So
few
many, bro.
few that didn't go too well for me, or others. But now, as long as I got a little bit of whiskey, if I've got a little weed, that's all I need.
Hey, bro, there's nothing wrong with it, man. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it at all. What position you playing baseball?
I was an outfielder. I pitched a little bit,
Okay.
but I was an outfielder, mostly center field, moved to the corner as I got older. I was a speedster early on, and more of a leadoff guy, hit for contact.
Mhm.
I was a lefty, so I always
Oh, nice.
get on base and try to steal. But I got into the gear a little bit when I went to college and
Everybody did.
put
Especially
on some.
how old are you?
I'm 33. I was like
Okay.
right in the Mark McGuire age, man. It was like, how can I get
Yeah.
huge? So, I experimented a little bit, and I went from like 155-pound little skinny kid to like 215.
Damn.
And just, yeah, I got humongous.
Yeah.
It's hysterical. It's I didn't realize how little my head was until I look at photos, because it didn't really grow. But yeah, I moved to the corners and went from like a contact leadoff hitter to somebody that was just trying to drop bombs anytime I could.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah. It's a totally different feeling when you're on it and you're playing. I played baseball too. I played high school ball, travel ball. I played every freaking position, man. But third base was my spot. Love playing the hot corner.
Yeah.
And then I got into softball after that, into
Okay.
competitive softball. We traveled, we did worlds, we played at ESPN Wide World of Sports, we world tournaments and stuff like that. And all legit ball players and that stuff,
Hmm.
Yeah, it's soft toss, whatever, but still high competition, a lot of fun. And yeah, I did the whole gear thing too, man. And it's a different level of playing when you're on that stuff, like
It's twofold. You've got the initial strength gains. I mean, I was just ridiculously strong. I had somebody that mentored me that knew what they were doing, so I wasn't just some kid that got tossed a bottle of D-ball. Like I was running Tren and 1,000 milligrams of enanthate and doing Turinabol and Anavar, and I was a machine. It was
yeah,
ridiculous. And between the strength, but the ability to play baseball every single day and never get tired.
never get
You
tired, never feel pain.
never.
It's so funny, like, and I don't mean funny in a funny way, but like your body is breaking down without you even realizing it. You're hurting yourself and not even feeling it. Yeah,
Yep.
that's the crazy thing. How it masks everything.
Yep.
I've been there. I've been there. I got it when I was really like, not gonna say taking boxing seriously, but training every day.
Hmm.
Um, which was serious. I was all into it, all in. Obviously, doing weightlifting too, and I was at a point where, yeah, I was training 6 days a week, weight training, cardio, boxing, and it was just nonstop. Didn't feel a thing, and then I just was lifting real heavy, and after a while, you start to feel it. You know what I'm saying? And then I felt it,
Yep.
and I had to go get MRIs. 9 herniated discs in my back,
I'm dealing with the
pinched nerve,
same. Yeah.
bulging C4, C5, like a mess, bro. Like now, my whole lifestyle has changed. Like I got friends that hit me up, yo, come train. I'm at Top Team. Come train, come train. We'll hit the mats. I'm like, bro, I would love to, but I can't. If I hit the mats right now, but my whole back will break probably. I just don't have the strength anymore in my back to do that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
I could still I still go to the gym. I hit the bags, I hit mitts and stuff like that, cardio, just to stay in shape. But to actually like grapple and stuff like that, it'd be a waste of time for the guy that's doing it to me, because it'd be an easy target.
Yep.
And that for me it would be a waste of time because I just get hurt. So it's one of the things I do these interviews and podcasts, because I'm able to live vicariously through everybody else,
Yeah.
that's doing it. So it's a win. It's a win the way I look at it.
No, man, yeah, I feel like you're just telling me my life story. It's been a struggle, man. I've got a couple discs in my neck that are all jacked up that, it's either get them fused or deal with the pain. And it's like being 33. I've tried to just continue to deal with the pain, but as I get older and try to stay as active, you feel it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's there for sure. And then just all the other just ailments, shoulders from, the powerlifting competitions that I was doing, and
Mhm.
being somebody who realistically, I graduated high school. Like I said, I was like 155 pounds. I was not a big framed person. I'm a very small framed person. And to carry 215 pounds, I was benching, low 400s. It
Yeah.
just wasn't what my elbows and shoulders were supposed to be doing. And, now I see people that were like, I don't even want to look at them because I know they're like, I told you so. I fucking
Yeah.
told you. But I don't know. You get experiences and you meet a lot of cool people. And the competition bug. I was never like a pro athlete, but I didn't want to stop. I just
Mhm.
enjoy it too much. The camaraderie of doing things with other people, difficult things.
Same, bro. Same. Like I have to. My lifestyle is the gym,
Hmm.
and I wish I could go more. Like I just took 5 days off in a row because I was in pain. I was uncomfortable. My back was twisted up. My neck was hurt. Can't work out like that. So I gotta listen to my body more now. I'm 37, so it's like the recovery is not like what it was in my 20s, and this is
Mhm.
kind of like a chronic thing. It's not going away, so I could maintain it. Where some days, when I feel good, I go to the gym. When I don't feel good, I don't go. It's pretty much my routine now. So like today, I did weightlifting. Can't lift heavy anymore, but I mix in lightweight, high rep. I still get the burn I need. And then tomorrow, if I feel good, I'll go kickboxing, and I'll train in the gym for whatever.
What kind of
And
stuff are you doing for your neck? Are you doing like you ever use the iron neck or anything like that?
so you're the second person who brought that up. No, I haven't done that yet, but I hear good things about Iron Neck.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
what I do right now, I have a chiropractor I go to. He's really good. Shout out Jordan Hagan, guy's awesome. He does really good work. I use the cervical traction device, which I find really good. That opens up my cervical spine area. Pulls those discs apart so I could breathe. So that helps. Massages, cupping therapy. That's been really good for me. Stretching,
Yeah.
heat, ice. That's pretty much what I've been doing.
Yeah. No, it's I've tried I've tried really working on the flexibility aspect, and I've almost bought the Diamond Dallas Page yoga program.
Oh, I did it.
Did you?
Yeah, fuck me up, bro.
Did it?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I even want to tell anybody this. I'm watching these videos. I'm like, well, damn, man, if DDP could do it, I could do it.
I
He's
did
got
it.
he has that crippled paratroopers running down the road at the end of the video. I'm like, fuck.
Sign me up.
Yeah, I'm thinking, well, shit, I can already run up the stairs. So what will I be able to do? You know what I mean?
I tried it, bro. It fucked me up.
It seems
If
like it's pretty legit. And he was doing
it
shit that I'm
is,
like, I can't put my leg up over my head like that.
I'm not there yet. I don't even know if I ever be. I may need surgery before I do that shit. Like
Yeah.
I tried it. I signed up. I started doing it. I saw Scott Hall, the Jake the Snake, everybody, the whole crew was there. And I'm like, all right, so I'm doing it. But the cool thing about DDP is that he'll always remind you in the sessions to do it at your own pace because you may not be able to do it exactly like I could do it. That's
Mhm.
okay. Let me show you a modification. So he modifies a lot of stuff for people, which is good. I mean, it's a good program. Don't get me wrong. But I think because of that competitive edge that I have as an athlete, I want to do it the right way. I don't want to do it the cheesy way. I don't want to back out and do it the modified way. So I
Yeah.
kept pushing myself to do it the regular way, and my body wasn't feeling it. So I stopped doing the DDP yoga. I started doing regular yoga. Super boring. I don't like it. So I just do my own take on it. I pick out like the back workouts, like the back stretches that I know that I could do and I like, and I'll
Yeah.
just kind of incorporate those with my stretching before I work out. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
otherwise I'll be all fucked up, bro.
Oh, right. No, I got one of those massage guns and just every night just do my hips, my quads, and my lower back, try to get my neck and everything. And if I can coax my wife into a nice massage a couple nights a week, I try to take advantage of that. Usually
Steak
costs,
dinner, bro. Usually a steak dinner works.
yeah, it costs me. It seems like it changes on me every fucking week. It's something different, but I'm lucky. I at least I get a nice neck rub every couple of days, which certainly helps. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's scary. I'm getting old. I feel it.
bro. Trust me, man. It don't get easier either. I remember I used to, bro. I remember I used to pop out of bed like 18 years old to even up to in my late 20s. Like I popped right out of bed, ready to go. What are we doing? What are we doing? I remember I used to play softball on Sunday mornings. I was in a league.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd party the night before on a Saturday night, get home like 3 o'clock in the morning, pass out, wake up at 7, get dressed, boom, on the ball field 8 a.m. and play a doubleheader in the heat down here in
Mhm.
Florida. And ready to go for a third game before, like, I'd be like, yo, that's it. We're done. Like, let's
And go
go.
out afterwards too. Again.
Easy, bro. Go for
Yeah.
lunch, get beers after. Like, insane energy. Go to the gym the next day. Like, everything was all good. I can't even do that shit now, bro. Like, I'm broken. So, like, if I wake up, I'm like, oh, what hurts now? That sucks, dude. It fucking blows.
I know how depressing. Although this is probably people are listening to this and relating so much. They're like, yeah, that's my life.
Everybody's dealing with it. I think the best day for people watching or listening, like if you're dealing with pain, obviously most important thing you got to do is listen to your body. Try not to do too much. Sometimes we get ahead of ourselves in our mind. Oh, I could do this, I could do that. You really got to take the time to listen to your body, and then you got to find the things that work for you.
Are
If
you
you don't
listening,
want
Dad? Dad, are you listening?
to.
No more
Oh,
climb.
okay.
Don't climb in the tree with the chainsaw on a rope anymore. Okay, Dad?
Yeah, no chainsaws, no climbing, especially the two together. I don't think that's a good idea. Period.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I think if you don't want to have surgery, find the alternatives that work for you and stick with those and make a routine out of it. I was told I need surgery. I was told, spinal fusion and, fuse my neck and take discs out and all that crap. And I was like, nah, I'm good. Well, we'll give you some pain meds. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Not doing it. Not doing it. So I do deal with pain here, a lot. But there's some days, some weeks that I go, I'm fine, so I cherish those moments.
Yeah. Do you use CBD ever?
Yeah, I got CBD. Actually, shout out to my sponsor, Hemp Boca. I use their products all the time. They have CBD massage oil, really good for
Oh,
post
right on.
workouts for athletes. So, I use it almost all the time. Whenever I feel pain, usually it's my neck that gives the most issues. I just rub that oil in, and if it works,
Yeah.
relaxes the muscles in my neck, and it's really good stuff. So use the code MIGZ MIGZ for a 10% discount if you go to hempboca.com.
There you
Don't
go.
forget.
No, right on. It's funny. I'm always skeptical of whether or not I'm just like placebo affecting when I
Yeah.
take stuff. And I realize CBD's legit because I always feel the benefit, 100% feel the benefit,
Yeah.
but I give my dog CBD treats and my dog is anxious as fuck. And I give my dog other treats and he don't chill out. I give my dog CBD treats and he chills the fuck out. So
Nice.
that to me is all the evidence that I need that CBD is in fact doing what I think it's doing when I take it. So
I want to give another shout out too to my boy Andy Hernandez, Andy H Films. He's my guy. We work together to do all these interviews. So if you go to my IG at Joe Miggs, you'll get to see like all the interviews that we do at these live events and stuff like that. And Andy's the guy. He's the magic maker, Emmy nominated film producer, does amazing work. So I wanted to give a shout out to Andy.
that's awesome. So he travels with you everywhere you go and to do all those interviews at the shows.
Yeah, we linked up recently. Because so I was doing a podcast with MMA Uncensored. It was just temporary. One of my things is I don't ever want to be exclusive because it kind of puts me in a cage. I can't do what I want to do.
Defeats the purpose of doing this, man.
Exactly. So, for me, it was like, I'm down to do whatever, podcasts, interviews, whatever people want me to do, that makes sense. I want to do it. I don't want to ever have to be like, I can't because of this, this, and this, I never want to be constricted. So, me and Andy linked up and we're actually working on a reality show right now.
Oh, nice.
So, which I'm really excited about. I can't get into too much detail right now, but what I can tell you, it's going to involve fighters, athletes, other sports, and celebrities. It's going to be an actual reality series. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to basically be like people, like your favorite athletes and celebrities, like you've never seen them before in a totally different aspect. So it's going to be very different. Nothing like this has really been done before. So I'm really looking forward to it. Uh, Kind of kept things very quiet about it, but we start filming next month in mid-January, and it's gonna be really, really cool, man. Like
That's awesome.
I can't.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. I can't wait to get more into it. But for right now, that's all I could get into. So that's kind of why I moved off of the podcasting for right now because I had people hit me up like, "Hey, where you at? I haven't seen a podcast from you. What's going on? Everything good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, everything's great." I said, "We got something else coming up." Uh,
Hmm.
so yeah, it's gonna be awesome, man.
Has COVID kind of impacted that at all, or are you right on track, just kind of timing it towards the end of the year?
Yeah, no, we're right on track. There's really been no hesitation. There's been no, COVID didn't really affect us in that respect, thankfully. During the whole time of COVID, I've been planning, I've been game planning different moves. What am I going to do next? Because I took the opportunity, you know, to just network, and just
Yeah.
talk to people and set things up. And that's what I've been doing this whole time, setting up my sponsors, setting up, influencers and athletes and celebrities that I want to work with. And that's basically what I've been doing, this whole time. So now it's going to come to fruition starting next month when we get the filming going. And once things, once it drops and people see it, then they can be like, oh shit, that's what that's why he's been so quiet,
It's a good feeling when that all comes to fruition, isn't it?
Yeah, man, it's just hard work, bro. I had like, you know, for me, like when I got into podcasting, I was going while I was doing podcasting and try to take it to another level. I was going through so much in my personal life. I was going through a divorce. I had a non-compete issue with a job that they were suing me, so I was going through a lawsuit. I was going. My grandmother had passed away at the time. I was going to college full time at the time, working a full time job, looking for another job at the same time, and then doing this podcast. And this was all going on at the same time, and my life was just crazy. So I'm like, how the fuck am I? Like, I just had to find a way. And thank by the grace of God, the only outlet I really had was the podcast. That was the only thing that got my mind off of everything else. So I knew that I had to push this thing to the next level because this is all I got right now.
Mhm.
Everything else in my life was shit. So I just forged forward. I stayed focused. And next thing I know, I'm doing all these interviews at these events. I'm getting invited out. I got celebrities reaching out to me, fighters reaching out to me, athletes from other sports reaching out to me. I'm like, who the hell am I? But they are seeing what I'm doing and it's getting some sort of interest. So, I mean, to me, it's cool. It's just, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just a cool feeling, though.
I'd be curious to get your input on this because I've had a couple people ask me, and the question is always, so what do you just like what do you reach out to these people and just like ask them to be on your show or something? And I'm I'm kind of dumbfounded by it because I'm like, well, yeah, that's typically how you like interact with somebody is you reach out to them and you engage with them.
Yep.
Now there's a caveat to it. If you've got nothing to say, uh, or you have no purpose in why you're reaching out, or there's no end game, then you're probably not going to have a response back, or the one you get is going to be pretty different than what you're hoping for.
Hmm.
But I think it, from my perspective, it really is as simple as just reaching out with the caveat of what's your intent, what's your story, what's your value. Um, and if you do that, yeah, you're going to have some people that blow you off. But I've taken that method across everything, my professional career, my personal relationships, my hobbies, everything that I've ever done. And to me, it was like, why would I do it any different than that? And yeah, there's a part of it that's I want to talk to some big name people, and I've been happy to get a couple of big names because it's exciting and it's competitive in me. Where I'm like, man, I fucking scored Tim Kennedy. I got Tim Kennedy to come on the podcast and spend 50 minutes talking about America with me. How fucking cool is that?
Hell
Not
yeah.
to mention, it's a lot of great perspective, and I got to ask a lot of things that I'm interested in. But I get to connect with random people. I found some dude from Montana who lives on a 60-acre wilderness preserve and he hunts elk all the time. It's just like,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, and it was a really cool conversation. I've met somebody now who I have a relationship with, and he's invited me out to go hunting sometime. I'm like, that these are lifelong things, and I'm kind of like going on and on, but for me, that is all possible just by taking the initiative and saying I'm going to fucking do something and do it all the way through.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. I think that's the cool thing about podcasting. I always say it. Podcasting is the ultimate networking tool. You're making connections. You're talking to people that, if you're in business and you're trying to get a hold of someone or talk to someone, the podcast is your reason to get a hold of these people. People that you wouldn't normally have conversations with, you're now having conversations with because you have a platform. And that's a really great thing about podcasting, because if you're a good speaker and you're a good listener, and you know how to promote your product, and it's a win, and you're good at accepting the word no. That's one thing about podcast being ignored, because when I first started doing podcasting, and to this day, I'm not going to say anything's changed. It's gotten a little easier to get guests on, only because of previous guests that I've had on, and they see and they're like, "Oh, I want to be on that too." But especially in the beginning, when you're trying to go, I mean, there's some stats I can spit at you, but like, you know, only 10% of podcasts actually make it past 10 episodes. As crazy as that sounds. And there's a lot of podcasts out there.
Hmm.
10% is a small number, but it's actually a lot of podcasts. But that's all that makes it past 10, because people don't realize the amount of hard work that is involved in podcasting. You're doing everything as a podcast host. You're the business manager, you're setting appointments, you're following up with people, you're trying to set a date, you're doing the whole show, which is the easiest part, is actually doing the podcast. Then you got to do editing after, then you got to promote it. There's a lot. And I think when people realize that, they're like, oh shit, like I didn't realize it was that much work. I thought it was just click and play. And that's why you get a lot of drop off. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, there's so many people that I've reached out to that either ignored me, said, nah, I'm not interested, or whatever. You just got to take that shit with a grain of salt and keep pushing forward. And I'm proof of it. Not that I'm famous or anything like that, but I've been able to separate myself from just doing a everyday kind of podcast to now, talking to very interesting influencers.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. But it's really just it's easy. It's not hard. It's just not quitting on yourself, not giving up, continuing to forge forward, on like accepting the failures, embracing them, embracing the no, and just
Oh, it's
continue.
tough too rewatching these, isn't it? Ugh.
I never rewatch them.
Oh, see, I do all my editing, so it's like, I go back through and I do all the chops and I sort everything out for all the different social platforms. So I mean, it's sometimes, man, it's brutal. I'm like, I don't even want to fucking get back behind that mic again. But then you start to realize that it's those imperfections about you that make you enjoyable for other people, because everything else is so overproduced. Like that, we live in such an overproduced world that stumbling over your words and saying the wrong thing, and
Mm.
I thought about something I said earlier. I'm like, I can't believe I fucking said that. I'm gonna piss somebody. I'm thinking of somebody specifically who I'm gonna piss off by saying that, and I'm like, you know what? It's not even worth the time. Leave it there. So it's all
Yeah,
learning experience from doing it.
yeah, man. And look, you know, everybody's got a right to their own opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but you got to, if as long as this is not a horrible opinion about something, respect it. It is what it is. I don't want to piss anybody off, but if I do, I mean, it's not really my problem. It's that person's problem that's pissed off. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
I can still go on with my day. I'm fine.
It's the other
Unless
great thing about podcasting.
yeah, man. That's what I always say. Like, if you don't like what I'm saying, listen to another podcast.
Yeah.
It's very simple. There's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of good podcasts out there.
There really is. I've been digging a lot of them. The more I've gotten into it, I've tried to expand. I was just like your typical Joe Rogan only for a long time. And then
Yep.
actually his influence of like throwing other people at me, those started to overtake my library. And it's like, I find myself listening more to the people that he's had on. And I only tune back in to see like who else has been new that I can go and then follow and start to listen to their shit. But
Yeah, he's. I mean, he's the king. The king of podcasts.
mhm.
He's done it right for a real long time, and he's been so consistent. So I just think it's fantastic. I always will always love his work. Always like everything that he's done, and the guests, for the most part, are pretty damn good. So, and I like what he does. Like, I like that he gives some, people that aren't famous a shot. I like that. He finds someone interesting. It doesn't matter what their social status is. He'll have them on, and I really appreciate that kind of stuff. It's those little things.
Yep. No, and they're some of the best episodes,
Yeah.
honestly, in a lot of cases. Hey, I wanted to ask you before we jump off.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on the upcoming fights? I mean, a lot of big fights coming up from a mixed martial arts perspective.
Yep.
I'm thinking Connor and Dustin is a big one for me. I personally am in the camp. I think Connor starches him early.
Okay.
Um, I don't think that Dustin's really. I think he's a great fighter, but I think his style against Connor's style is going to bring out the fight in Connor early, and I think it's going to be to Connor's benefit to end the fight early as well. So
Hmm.
he's. I think Destiny's going to find its way to happen there. But
It could. I'm really excited to see the fight. I could tell you this. In the last couple months, I've been to Top Team a few times and I've seen Dustin training, and he looks good.
yeah,
He looks good. I think the last time I saw him at Top Team was about a couple months ago, but I mean, I saw him there, and I saw him training. He looks in great shape. Yeah, I mean, and Connor is Connor. He's a great striker. He's coming off, a dominant victory over Cerrone. Uh, he's ready, man. I don't know. It's a toss up to anything could happen in there. That's the thing. Anything could happen. You know, it's hard for me to pick one on that, but I think if Connor keeps it stand up and striking, and he's able to keep the distance, and I think he's got a shot at winning. And I think if Dustin could get inside on Connor and kind of you know not allow Connor to keep the distance and land those hard strikes that he's good at, I think Dustin's got a really good shot. So I don't know. We'll have to see fight night, man.
yeah. I don't know. It seemed too. Connor just wanted that fight so bad, and I feel like a guy in his position right now, he knows the risk of losing again, and so
Hmm.
I feel like he's only picking and pushing to fight people right now that he knows he can build himself back up to that money machine. I mean, it's the same thing with Cowboy. I have all the respect in the world with Cowboy, but
Oh
it's
yeah,
like he was doomed, man. That was
yeah.
it was almost a guaranteed win. I mean, to your point, anything can happen, but
Hmm. Yeah, it was. Cerrone was, I think, that was it, right? He got released after that.
um, I don't know. Did he?
I think he did.
Yeah, I
Pretty
mean,
sure. I know Dana was just talking about like a ton like of fighters are getting
I know
released.
he's got a grappling match against
I
Dos
saw
Anjos.
that Los Angeles. Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that.
he's on the
Uh
same card. I just did a podcast with Mason Fowler,
oh, cool.
and I didn't had no idea that Cerrone was on that card. He's like, yeah, Cowboys got a match with Dos Anjos, and I'm like, wait, what? I had
Yeah,
no idea.
I saw that today actually. Yeah,
Yeah, interesting.
yeah, it is pretty interesting.
I think
Yeah,
Rumble's on that card too.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah. He's on there too. I don't know who he's going against, but I saw that too. He's on there. I gotta ask him who he's going up against. It's grappling, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta ask him about that. And then the bare knuckles on Friday, which I can't wait for. They're in
Who's the main
Biloxi.
event for that?
Well, it's kind of sad. I mean, and no disrespect to the guy that's filling in, because I've seen him fight on Total Line. He's good, but the main event was supposed to be Sam Shoemaker versus Mark Godbeer, and Mark Godbeer fought in the UFC, fought in Bellator, went
Hmm.
over to the UK to fight, bare knuckle there, and now he just got recently signed with BKFC. He ended up getting COVID, so, and it was kind of crazy too, because I have there's a little platform on Instagram called Bare Knuckle Freak, but that's where I do all the bare knuckle news and all that and the content. And I'm friends with Godbeer on Facebook, and he posted that he got COVID and he's done. And when I read it, it said posted 6 minutes ago. So I'm like, oh, this is breaking news. So I did a little, something, and I put it out there. And then his manager wrote a message saying, who told you this? How did you find this out? I said it was on his Facebook. He just said it. So then he removed it, and I guess the organization didn't want him to drop it right away, because they had to set up another main event. So I respect the brand treats me good, so I just dropped it and I waited till later to put it back up. But he's out. He's out. So they got this guy. He's got a funny fucking name, Bobo O'Bannon. It's just like so Irish to me.
Yeah.
But I saw this guy fight, and he could fight. He knocked the shit out. This guy's like he doesn't look very athletic, but he's a big guy. Obviously, could fight, no question. But he fought a guy that was looked much more athletic than him. Big, ripped heavyweight. He fucked him up. You know, it was a good fight, but he won, and he knocked the guy out. So he's a powerful dude, and he's fighting this guy Sam Shoemaker, whose punching pressure is like 1,600 pounds, like Ivan Drago shit. So it'll be a good fight. You know, that's the main event. The co-main event is Tyler Goodjohn,
Okay.
who's he's getting very popular. This guy, another British dude that they just signed. He's coming over, undefeated bare knuckle fighter in Britain, coming over here. He's a porn star too. This guy, he's like a wild cat. May have to get him on your podcast because he'd be a cool guest to have. And he's fighting. He's fighting Charles Bennett actually.
Wow.
Yeah. He used to go by Crazy Horse. Now he goes by Felony. He's fighting. And then there's some other good fighters. Like this guy Quentin Henry's real good.
Okay.
Dakota Cochran's on that card. He's fighting. Dakota Cochran gets less credit than he deserves. That guy, I want to say he's undefeated in bare knuckle, but he doesn't get enough like publicity with them. I don't know why, but he's fucking good. Like he's knocking people out. So I'm looking forward to seeing him fight. And there's a couple other good ones. There's going to be a sneaky. There's one that's everybody's got to watch. It's my. Let me just look it up real quick because I just want to.
Yeah.
In case these guys are listening, and I want them to know I fucking know my shit, but I do want to say this is going to be the sneaky fight of the night. The sneaky fight of the night is going to be Chris Cero's fighting Josh Burns, another guy that fought bare knuckle in Britain, Georgia boy. Cero's undefeated, but Dakota Cochran and Tyler Vogel. That's going to be the sneaky fight of the night in my pick. And then this really hot chick, Jenny Savage, is fighting my buddy Sheena Stahl. They're going to fight. This girl, Jenny Savage, is making a debut. She's sexy. You got to check this girl out.
What's her name?
Jenny Savage.
Jenny Savage.
They call her the Tennessee Gangster. The Tennessee Gangster. She's hot. She's hot. So this would be fun to watch her too. And who else we got? There's gonna be a good card. I think they got like 10 or 11 fights on there, so it's gonna be good. I love it. So I'll talk about that shit all day.
What's the knockout percentage?
It's got to be like 90%. Seriously,
Really?
Maybe even higher. I mean, people get knocked out. Like the BKFC 14 in Miami. I mean, you saw Yuli Diaz had a record-breaking knockout.
2 seconds.
Yeah, it was crazy, bro. As soon as the bell rang, whop, done. But I mean, dude had his hands down here. You're toeing the line. You're a foot away when the referee says knuckle up. How are your hands? Put them up.
Yeah.
Like, get ready, bro. Like,
funny story with that. So I had a history teacher in high school. His name was John Stout. I need to tag him on something. I'll put a clip together for him. He was such a badass. He came in. He was like a long-term sub for a history teacher that wasn't there any longer. And he was a boxer from Lock Haven University in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But because boxing in college was like very limited, not a lot of schools had it. He was, from what he said, it was Division I boxing. And this dude had some hands on him. And he took me over to the boxing gym that I actually ended up fighting for years later, called the Knockout Factory. It was on an Indian reservation near where I grew up.
Cool.
And he was telling me a story about when he was fighting for a national. I think he won a national championship, and then he lost another time in the national championship. But on his tournament through, he had a guy that he knew he was going to lose against, and he went out to touch gloves. And when the dude went to touch gloves, he cold cocked him and knocked him unconscious. And he won the fight, but he was like, it was the dirtiest thing. And he was like not apologetic at all.
Damn.
Now that I think about it, that would have been 2003 or 4 when he told me that story. So I could I want to like look that up and see if I can like find the standings and the records now that I'm thinking about it, to see if he was just totally fucking messing with me, or he told me like it was a legit story, and I know he was a legit boxer. So, but he was totally proud of that moment, was like, I did what I had to do, man. I wasn't going to win.
Well, the saying is protect yourself at all times.
Yeah.
So it could go either way, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, shit, man. We've been doing this a little bit. I I've got a little one that I hear upstairs. Actually, I don't know if you can pick them up through the microphone, but perils of the podcast until I get to those millions of downloads and can go buy myself a studio somewhere. I'm sharing space with the wife and the little one. So,
No, I get it, man. I know that struggle, but I'll be right there with you, man.
no, good stuff. I appreciate it a ton. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a good time.
Oh, thank you, man. It was an honor to be on your podcast. I'm very grateful. Thank you for reaching out. And yo, I look forward to some Rumble Time coffee.
Yeah, shoot me your address.
I will. Yeah, I'll shout you out on my social media. Let people know. Do a little nice something for you.
I appreciate it, buddy.
Oh yeah, my man. Thank you, brother.
Be safe. Talk soon.
Later, brother.